So this is really interesting to me. Before my daughter found me on the bathroom floor and basically, well, not basically, she saved my life. Um, 2 weeks prior to that, I was minding my own business. Again, I was upstairs and it was late at night, and my daughter called me because she was upset about something. So I went downstairs, but the minute I sat up, I had those shooting pains in my head again. And I really didn't pay attention to it, but it really hurt. But I guess I need to take a little better care of myself. Another lesson learned. If something doesn't feel right, you need to pay attention to it. Then I got up, I went downstairs, I went and laid down with my daughter in bed, which is one of the highlights of my life, my daughter. And the minute I laid down, I really didn't feel good. And I kind of spoke to her for a few minutes. And usually when, she gets upset or things happen, we speak for a while. But for some strange reason, we didn't speak very long. I put my hand on her and she pretty much fell asleep. Well, all of a sudden, my head is just exploding and I'm feeling nauseous again. But this time I didn't throw up. And this is 2 weeks prior to me going to the hospital. Well, all of a sudden, the right side of my body went numb. I couldn't feel it. And of course, it never dawned on me that I was having this hemoglobic something stroke. My brain was obviously had a brain bleed, and it caused me to stroke. And apparently, from what I've heard now, that I shouldn't have even lived 24 hours. And yes, I did, thank goodness. So I'm laying in bed, and the minute this happens to me, I'm thinking, what's going on? This happened like within seconds. I didn't even have time to say call 911. But what I kept thinking was, what's going on with me? But before it happened so fast. My body, and this sounds crazy, and I've always believed in, there's something bigger than us, and I've seen certain things as a child, but I'm telling you right now, I believe it because I wasn't on any medication. I had all my faculties, and what I'm about to tell you next happened, and it happened. So I'm minding my own business, feeling miserable, and all of a sudden, my whole body is numb, my right side, and I'm going up. My body is going up, but it's looking up. It's not looking at me. It's going up. And I could tell that it was curtains for me. I was not supposed to be here. I mean, I was really out. I was checking out. And what I remember saying is, wait. I can't go. My daughter needs me. Because if I die in her bed, she's going to have a panic attack. She's going to feel worse than she does now. I can't leave. I call it mother's love. And I remember pulling down my body back into the bed. But it wasn't just pulling my body back into the bed. I was like, I really didn't want to be here. And I was pulling it down to the point where I was pulling like 1,000,000,000 pounds. Now I believe when people say that, these mothers get into their child's caught under a car and they lift this huge gigantua 5,000 or 4,000 pound car off their child's body. I get it because I had this desperation of I have to live. I have to say I can't leave my daughter. And I pulled myself back into my body and I finally did it. And then again, I didn't even think about call 911, what's going on, because I was too worried about my daughter. I had to be here for her. And I got back into my body and I just laid there because I didn't feel good. And eventually I wasn't so sick to my stomach anymore. And I could feel the right side of my body return because it was just paralyzed. I couldn't move it. And I got out of bed. I still didn't feel good. I felt really tired, like exhausted, I can't explain how tired I was. And I went into bed and I thought, well, I have to go to sleep because at the time I had an office on Abbott Kinney and I had clients coming and I had to go to work. Why I didn't call 911, I still don't know. So I went to sleep and I woke up in the morning and I felt fine. I was tired, I was weak, and I was very shaky. But I just didn't think of it and I went to work. Well, I'd gone to work for almost 2 weeks. And by the way, all this happened to me, it'll be 3 years on March 16th, 2018, which is the day before my daughter's birthday, St. Patrick's Day. She's my lucky charm. And this happened 2 weeks prior. So a couple of weeks before, after this happened, I had an RN come in. I work also with lawyers and doctors and nurses and people in the film industry, anybody. People just come see me. And this woman was looking at me and she said, "Rochelle, why are you shaking?" And I said to her, "Well, I don't know, maybe I was diagnosed many years ago as a child with borderline hypoglycemia, and maybe I didn't eat enough, or who knows." And she kept staring at me. And, for this whole time I was shaking and feeling weak, and I really thought it was hypoglycemia. I didn't realize it. And she said, "Rochelle, what's happened to you?" And I was thinking, and I couldn't remember, and then it dawned on me, and I told her my story. And she said, "Rochelle, I can't diagnose you. You need to go to the hospital, but it sounds like you had a stroke." She said, "Why? You need to go to the hospital." And apparently if you go if you have a stroke and you go right away, they can give you a shot or something that helps you and they can determine what's going on. But because I'd waited so long, nobody really knew anything. So I went to the hospital, and it was interesting because before that, my husband and I did a retreat, and I was breathing in a lot of smoke because we do a lot of burning things at the retreat. So when I went to the doctor, I thought maybe I had smoke inhalation, and I told her about my head at the hospital, at the emergency room. But she kind of didn't do what maybe she could have done, and I went home. And then 2 weeks later, my daughter finds me on the bathroom floor, and that is where I think that dry blood came from. The doctor said it could have been around for a very long time. This could have happened to me at any time. I could have had this malformation in the cerebellum for many years. I don't think they really know. But I'm thinking, because of what happened to me, that blood was from the 2 weeks prior. And then when I saw that light, the second time I went to the hospital, when I saw that light, and it was just such a profound light, and I heard, "Don't be afraid, your daughter will be okay." And I felt the most incredible sense of peace I've ever felt in my life. And I don't care how long I meditate or where I get to, I have not found at this point that I can get to that state of peace. It's very comforting to me, because now I truly believe that there is another place. I study Buddhism, that we don't just die and go nowhere. And if we do, we won't know anyways. But, we do go to another place, another life. And I know that there is such thing as peace, that it really exists. And because I experienced it, it's easier for me, maybe not to get at that level, but to get there. And I will go through how to find peace. That's a large part of what I've learned. What was really interesting, I've asked my daughter many times within the last 3 years, because my mother and my daughter especially have explained to me what's happened, what was going on, because I've forgotten. And at this point, I'm fine. I don't need to know anymore. And my husband. And I asked her, "Was there a light above me?" Because when you go into the hospital, they have those big lights. And I said, "Was there a light?" And she said, "No." I said, "Are you sure? I need to know. Are you sure there wasn't a big light on top of me?" And she said, "Mommy, there wasn't." So this is where more so than ever, my spiritual practice has really taken off. I thought it was profound before this happened to me. Well, with the experience that I've already told you, and the ones that I'm going to elaborate on, and the ways that hopefully my experiences can help you, from what I have seen working with my clients, and when I went to school to get my master's in spiritual psychology, and my own, my experiences, I don't know if there is any other way to help trauma and to get through it. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you.